everybody, it's me, Eva Forde, your rich social worker, helping you turn your dreams of becoming a rich social worker into reality. Now, I'm just back from a trip to DC. I was at the National Association of Social Workers annual conference. It was phenomenal. I met social workers from around the US and from around the world, and several of them were very rich. One such social worker who was on her journey and well on her way to becoming a rich social worker is Jet Setting Jasmine. Now, I was able to snag an interview with her, and you are going to love this interview. Keep in mind, we were in a hotel, we were in a lobby, so from time to time you may hear people passing back and forth, but I don't want you to let that stop you from getting the really rich and great information that she had to share. So without further ado, watch the interview. Hi everyone, it's Eva Forde, and I'm here with Jasmine. And we are here at the NASW 2014 Social Work Conference, and it's been phenomenal so far. Wouldn't you say so?
Yes, it has been.
Yeah, and one of the really great perks about coming to a conference like this with your peers is that you get to meet phenomenal social workers from all over the world. And Jasmine and I just met not too long ago, but I'm so excited because, drum roll please, right. She's a rich social worker. I told you they exist. I found one. Actually, I found several. But we're about to talk to Jasmine. And thank you so much for being here and talking to me and being willing to share with the audience. People will understand. We're in a hotel. There's people passing back and forth. But yeah, that's not going to stop us. That's not going to stop us. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Rich social worker.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But there's so many ways to define that.
True.
So
True.
Please don't call me. I can't help you. But no, I plan to definitely share anything that I can to help social workers like you and I tap into a power that's really already there.
Right. Absolutely.
So, I have my master's in social work from Florida State University. Went on to become a licensed clinical social worker. And I still continue in a traditional social work role, more in the administrative pocket, but have not decided to let that go. I identify myself as a licensed clinical social worker, and for my businesses, that's been actually the selling point for me.
Yeah, and you said, I know in one of our sessions, and what drew me to you is that you stood up and you said, I'm a social worker and I have started 4, I think you said?
Somewhere about there.
It's 4 startups, and they have not failed. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you is because, you and I were talking earlier about how, number one, social workers don't necessarily think about business. We don't think about business. Even I think in administration, we don't think about the business unless we're managing budgets.
Right.
But we don't necessarily think about wealth creation. So could you talk to us a little bit about your journey or your ventures? Yes.
Okay, absolutely. I have always, I wanted to actually go the policy track because I always wanted to figure out how that whole healing and that touchy-feely part of social work could generate money. In my mind, in this world, you can help people if you have money. The way that I was raised is there was always a deficit of money. So, I had a compassion for people that were poor, but I also knew most of our problems stem from, Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Right.
Well, it starts with money,
right.
At least in this country.
Right.
So I went to school and I wanted to get the clinical piece so that I could find a job. But my interest has always lied in policy and administration. Through the course of my work with folks, I did go through that little burnout phase that we all go through.
Yeah.
And a lot of it felt like I can't hear the same story anymore. In this little office, in my micro practice, I need to do more. And I not only needed to do social work on a bigger level, but I needed to branch off and do it the way that I thought it needed to be done, not the way the agency or the organization prescribed it.
I love that.
So the businesses that I have started up, they kept kind of building onto one another, and I'm at 2 right now. I'm running 2 businesses. One is I'm an owner of Body Altitudes Health and Fitness Studio.
Awesome.
And thank you. I'm a co-owner with 2 other. One is a fitness professional, and the other one is a musician and also a fitness professional. We all had our own professional outlets, but we had an interest in fitness. but more so what keeps people from getting fit. Because there's a million different gyms, there's a million different supplements, but people are still overweight and unhealthy. The personal trainer that I work with, she said, every time I go to a one-on-one training, people want to talk to me about their divorce, their kids, and I just want to tell them, like, shut up, do 10 more reps and keep going. But she said when she would let them loose, basically after the training was over, she couldn't control what they were eating, why they were eating. And so as we were putting our brain together, I said, well, that's what I do. I can't tell you how many reps to do, but I can tell you that until you fix this issue that's going on here, you're going to keep doing this, So we decided, let's open up this studio and let's give people community. So one of the things that we do is, as a studio, we do community service activities with one another. We do functional training, so that means if all week we've been working squats and shoulder presses, then later that month we're going to use that, and we have next month we're moving a homeless shelter into another building. So all those squats and all that lunging and jumping, we're going to put that to use. So that's one of the pieces of what I feel is just organic social work, and we're using it through our studio to mobilize people. We offer mental health counseling at our studio.
Wow.
It's something that you can't find at your local, your major gym.
Most gyms don't have that.
And we also, we want to make money like any other business. However, in order to make money, people have to be successful. Your friends have to say, like, wow, Eva, you look good. Where do you go? We can't do that if our members are overeating, not working out properly. So when they come to us and they say, I want to lose 20 pounds, we will say, before we put you on program, you need to see one of our therapists.
I love that. That's social work.
It's social work.
Yeah.
It's social work. You can call it a gym, you can call it a studio, we call it the boutique of fitness. But when it gets down to it, it's helping people, and it's having a plan to help people, identifying strengths and weaknesses. Our members, they come in, they're going through divorces, they're going through all kinds of things, and we make connections. We say, Jane, I want to introduce you to so-and-so. She's where you were 5 months ago. Get her to where you are now. And so, you need to be talking to her because she's where you are.
So like peer support.
Yes. We do groups.
I love that. Really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
So, and out of the studio, we developed a program called, it's our Sexy series. So this is, okay guys, if you're under 18.
Censor.
Yes. We developed the Body Altitude Sexy series. Women want to, they're working out, there's some vanity in it, they want to strut their stuff. So we developed Steel and Stilettos. It's a Sexy series class where we do our workout in our heels, safety first, and I'll tell you more about that later. And then also KISS, which is keep it strong and sexy.
Okay.
So when we think about sexy, most people have their image. At our studio and within our philosophy, sexy is confidence. It's whatever it means to you. Typically, the stronger, the healthier we are, the better we feel about ourselves, the sexier we feel.
And we exude that as well, right?
So a lot of times people say, I want to feel good, I want to look beautiful, I want to be sexy. Well, that's all behind your confidence, right? And your confidence has a lot to do with, again, what's going on.
Right.
So in the format, we work out, we sweat, we burn calories, but at the end, there's always a therapeutic. It's about 5 minutes, a part of our cool down. Or in the beginning, we talk about what we're working through that day, so it might be guilt. We use songs that focus on that, so there's a little bit of music therapy in there. And at the end, we give up whatever it is, that session. We talk about what did you feel guilty about today that you're just not gonna, you're gonna process through that this week, or what's your fear? Some ladies will say, my fear is dancing in front of other people, and by the end of the class, you've conquered that. So all different types of emotions. The ladies, they send me songs that they want to work through. They will send me emotions. They'll say, I feel really beat up on. So we'll do angry songs, and we'll beat whatever that problem is up. So that's
I love that. I love that because we talk in social work about biopsychosocial.
It's gotta all be there.
It's all there. So that's awesome. Yeah.
So that is just, it's pure social work. So when I hear people say, like, you're a business owner, you're a business owner. No, I'm a social worker that's doing business. There's a difference. I don't have a business background, but I also value our values. I value, the things that I learned in school, the things that we do in practice. so much that I know that it can sell on its own. It doesn't have to be wrapped up in anything pretty. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Now, one of the things that I always, in listening to something like this, before I had the knowledge that I do now, I used to always wonder, how do you go from having an idea to actually turning it into a business? You know, there is, you know, a gap between that conversation that you had with your friends and actual, I don't know, having a studio. So could you talk a little bit about, you know, what kinds of things that a social worker or someone in that position, maybe someone with an idea, would need to do or needs to know?
Absolutely. For me, it was about putting it into action. So, you know, sometimes, and this is a reflection on my clinical practice, I have always been a solution focused. If you want to talk to me about the last 50 years of your life in a 16-week, I am not the therapist for you. And I will tell my clients that from jump. If you want to fix it, I'm your girl. And that's kind of what it was. It was, do you want to do this? Okay, let's do it. Let's start talking to people. Let's put it out there. Let's go and start seeing other gyms and other studios, seeing what they offer and what's the missing piece.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So hold on one second. I hope everyone heard that. You did your research. You did your homework. So if you have an idea, it's really important to do your research, do your homework, find out about that. And I think a lot of times in business, we hear, you know, competition. You know, you have to compete. And one of the things I've learned is that we can actually learn from that competition.
Absolutely.
You know, and like you said, fill in the blanks. Identify where the missing links are and fill in the blanks. And you said something earlier as well, when your partner said, you know, people come to her all the time talking about divorce. You heard that because that's our language. That's the language we speak. So you're like, oh, hey, I have that skill. And I'm also interested in fitness. We can, you know, partner and find a solution for this.
Absolutely.
So great. So you did your research. What else?
So, and then we put our resources together.
Okay.
And I don't, you know, no silver spoons in any of our mouths. No, none of us had a lofty bank account, so to speak. We just put our resources together and we negotiated. Now, as a social worker, we have amazing negotiation skills. We help people negotiate their lives, you know,
Absolutely.
on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
And that's what we did. We went to the owner of the property and we said, this is our idea.
Yeah.
We did our research. We know it's going to be successful. This place that you have has been sitting here for 2 years. We've been watching it.
Oh, I love that.
And give us a chance. This is what we have to offer. So we offered on a, how do you say it, a step ladder, a scale.
Yeah.
And we said we could do this much in 3 months.
Yeah.
And me and my partners, we sat down and we really talked about what could you sacrifice for the business. So that meant,
I love this conversation. I love this conversation.
wait till I tell you about business number 2, you're going to be like, cut the camera off. But we sat down and we said, okay, what bills can you get rid of? Okay, so now I don't have cable. That's how rich I am. We decided that certain things that we wanted to do, we were going to. You were asking we didn't have capital to come up with the business, and we weren't going to allow anyone to invest to start up.
Love that.
We thought if it fails, it fails. At least it fails on our own back. We already had enough people to pay back through our own personal. We didn't want to go into this and owe people as a collective 3. So Pamela, Hassan, and I, we went through our personal budgets and we figured out where we could cut back. And we were supposed to move. Both Pamela and I were supposed to be moving that year into like our wonderful big houses and whatever. And we said, you know what, let's scale back. We actually moved in with one another to do it.
All 3 of you?
No, just the 2 of us. Yeah. We let Hassan keep his own place.
Okay.
So Pamela and I and our kids, we moved in together. We really, really believed in what we were doing, enough to the point that we gave up some of our personal comfort. And the way that we looked at it is that for the first year of business, which we are going into our 8th month now, we are going to live at the studio anyways. So why do we need 2 separate homes? And we did. We consolidated, and we know that in the back of our heads, if we don't meet the bills, we have something to pull from, which would be our personal, our jobs. Thankfully, we only had 1 month in the red.
Yeah.
So far today, fingers crossed, knock on wood. But knowing that we had a plan, that the business wouldn't fail because we set ourselves up that way.
I love that. And just have to stop for a second, because one of the things that I love is that you guys were smart. You didn't get in over your heads. You saw where you needed to make sacrifices yourself. And I think a lot of times people don't even think that. They don't take stock of how, their investment in a business or in a company. It's how can I borrow? How can I get this thing and still keep what I have? And this idea of sacrifice is and sacrifice doesn't necessarily mean giving up one thing that you want for something else that you want. It could be giving up a lower need for a greater good.
Absolutely. For me, so when you say, this is Jasmine, she's a rich social worker. I don't have all the things that I want. I have everything that I need. And I am rich in a lot of ways. Like, our children are seeing us, and I have 2 daughters and she has a son and a daughter. They're seeing us build this business. They're a part of it. They're answering the front. My daughter teaches class. So again, we're using our resources. And I have a 13-year-old, she's a junior coach. She gets paid just like all of the other instructors. However, we make it very clear to her, you're the last one to get paid. The same thing with us. We haven't sacrificed our day jobs. We made our business work. It's an instructor-led, and evening, most of our classes are evening. We didn't bite off more than we could chew. We had the equipment that we have, the space that we have. We do mobile trainings when we need more space. We bring our services into people's homes. So for nutrition counseling, I focus on using behavior modification. I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, but I don't have to be to tell you how to make healthy choices.
Right.
Social work teaches you how to do that, right?
Power of social work, baby.
Which is more important. And because people already know what to eat. They just don't know why they don't make the choice.
Right.
So we go in their homes, we do pantry cleaning, I do shopping trips, so to the grocery store, and when you're reaching for this, I'm like, draw that hand back. Let's think about this. Let's look up. Did we look at what's up? Did you look at what's below? And we teach people a different behavior of shopping. It's great. We get to take families out. So when the kids are like pulling potato chips and stuff, I bring my kids with me who are junior coaches, and they tell people like, oh, you gotta try this. It's really good. I thought it was gonna be nasty too, but we eat it, Or instead of always reaching in the fridge for a cold Coke, I have the parents switch it up and do Cokes and water. And then we keep going lower on the Coke and more on the water. So it's behavior changes, pure social work, being used in a fitness
Love it. Love it. All right, is there another lesson before we go on to the second business? So you said that you what did you say? You looked for the opportunity, or you had that conversation, and you made those sacrifices. And again, sacrificing a lower need or want for a higher good.
Yes.
And is there a third thing that you did to go from having that initial conversation to actually implementing the business?
So we are learning as we go. There are a lot of things, and there are a lot of times that we say, I go, I don't know, I'm just a social worker, or she goes, I don't know, I'm a fitness, and he's like, I don't know, I'm a rapper, and I'm like, but we gotta find out. So like marketing and branding, for example, we had to switch our gears, and we also had to let go of this is my role in the company, this is my role. I need to know everything. I never knew as much as I did about financing or looking at data from how is it going to generate money? Where are people's interest in? If I put this instructor at 10 o'clock and this one at 7, is that going to change people's behavior when they come to the gym? Those type of things. Thinking about how can we market our business to larger networks? How can we get on TV, on the newspaper, which we did recently?
Congrats.
And thank you. Those type of things, I didn't know we had the skills, but it was honestly tapping into the, I can do this. One, I can read. I can talk to people just like you sought me out. She has something I need. Come here, And also learning to barter, which is, amazing. It's still very much in existence if you use it properly.
Right.
We don't have money to pay for a marketing person. We sought out interns, students, people that had an interest, and then people who didn't want us to fail. Our clients, they were like, what can we help you with? I have a background in this. I have a background in that.
Awesome.
Not being afraid to ask, or to even to say, I don't know.
Awesome. You said so many good things.
Too much.
No. You said so many good things. I mean, I'm going to try to remember them. But number one, educate yourself. I follow a woman, Marie Forde, online, and she says, she has a statement, everything is figure outable. We can, you're smart, you have knowledge, we can read, we can talk to people. And in this age of technology, you can figure it out, or you can find someone who knows more than you to figure it out. That's one thing you did. So you educated yourself. The other thing you talked about is bartering, which is, and I think the thing that people don't realize about bartering is relationship, isn't it?
It is, and you have to be willing to give.
You have to be willing to give, and social workers are great at that. In fact, too good sometimes at giving.
Yes.
So if we, part of what we have to do then for business sake is to learn how to give so that it benefits us as well. Because a lot of times we give and say, no.
Yes.
Don't give me anything back.
No, that's not, I don't do that.
But don't we do that?
Yes,
Social
we do.
workers
And I had to break myself of that.
Right.
It's just the same way we have to teach ourselves to say no.
Exactly.
It's the same thing we have to teach ourselves to say yes when it's good for us.
Yes.
And to say it right from up front.
Yes.
I'm very, very good at saying, oh, you have a blog?
Yeah.
Great, I'd love to give you an interview on it. Can I have access to that blog?
Right.
You know what I mean? Can I say, don't forget to check out bodyaltitudes.com? Yeah, that's bartering.
Exactly.
And I feel like right now I have access to people in my community through our studio.
Yeah.
People want to come in and share their business. They want to share their talents. We are always bartering. We're always selling. That's the other thing. I don't ever feel like I need to take off my social work hat and put on a business hat or put on a marketing hat. I feel like my social work hat is good enough. So, we tell our clients to identify their strengths.
Right.
Identify
yours.
yours.
Yeah. Right. And the thing too that you were just saying, if the thought didn't leave my mind, something about we're good enough. Bartering. Okay, sorry.
It's
gone.
It's
gone.
Words.
All right. Thanks.
We'll roll the tape back.
We'll roll the tape back. All right. So tell us about the second business.
Okay.
And I'm gonna hold on tight.
All right.
So
it's social work. I promise you.
I believe you. I'm just. It's gonna be so amazing. I'm not gonna be able to stand it. I'm gonna explode. Like in the cartoons. You're like, oh, boom! That's what's gonna happen.
They always put everybody back together.
That's true.
So the second business is called Jet Setting Jasmine.
Jet Setting Jasmine.
.com.
Don't
open it at work.
Okay. All right.
So the birth of Jasmine, I think it was like my 30th birthday. This is business. And I decided, I want to have one of those sassy parties, where the girls get together and they look at toys and stuff. So we did that, and the woman that did the party, I don't even remember her name, that's how bad she was. If she's watching this, I'm sorry, it's the truth. It was really bad. We were so disconnected we were there as women to learn about like the next phase of our sensuality, our sexuality. We were there, it was just like the perfect recipe for a group. That's what I was thinking. And she did such a horrible job. It was like a Tupperware party. This is a toy, this is how you use it. And at the end, I watched her make money hand over fist. I watched my friends that I brought to her just give their money for these toys. And when she left, we wound up sitting around and talking, and the conversation that we had was one that I thought we would have had during, really about how we felt about ourselves, how we felt about our past intimate relationships, current, and what we wanted moving forward. And so after that, I kind of took it home, and I really, we did say we were at the conference.
We did say that, and we're in a hotel lobby. Hey, we're social workers, we're flexible.
It's going. If I rolled my eyes, you cut that out. So at this party, I felt like the conversation that we had, I really wish we would have had it during the party, and that the host was equipped to handle that kind of content. But I couldn't take my mind off the fact when I got home how much money she made. And I was just like, you know, I could do this. I can do it better. And that I can give them more than the toys. So I again researched other companies that were doing the same thing. I signed on to a particular company, and they had lots of rules. And I am not one for that many. Okay. Tell me when.
Are you ready?
Ready?
Okay, good.
So you were asking how to we didn't have capital in between us, and I found my own source of where to get these toys from and these party favors. And I decided how I was going to structure my groups. And they were going to be fun, they were going to be candid, we were going to use anatomically incorrect words, and we were just going to meet the client where they were. And some
Client where they were.
That's right.
Love that.
So some of my parties are for women that are turning 19, so they're not thinking about intimacy in the same way that someone that is 30 plus.
Right.
They don't have the experience,
Right.
and the focus really needs to be on making good decisions.
Right.
Making those first decisions.
Right.
Being able to advocate for themselves. But I do it in a way that is not, you know, like, so this is a condom, this is how you put it on. I mean, we have fun. I bring the pole out. We do sexy dances.
No, I would like one of those classes. Yeah, I should not have said that on camera. However,
It's okay. It's what you want. It's what you want.
Now everybody's gonna know my freaky side. That's okay.
That's
It's all
okay.
good.
They were gonna find out anyway.
That's probably true.
So, you know, I started that way, and a lot of the women would be like, oh, you teach pole? I want to do a pole party. Okay, fine. Bring the pole out. We do that for a little while, and of course, you know, after a while, it's like, oh, this is hard, you know. And then we start talking, and some real issues start to come to the surface. I can't let myself go sexually because of something that happened to me when I was, you know, a teenager, a child. I want to be this way in the bedroom, but I have a hard time because I'm scared that I'm going to be judged. This is social work.
That's
This is
social
what we
work.
do.
Social work.
I'm afraid that if I've been married to my husband for 20 years, and I'm afraid that if I tell him this, he's going to think I've been with someone else. Hell, I'm having an affair because, you know, I mean, it was just all coming to the surface. The scary part was, for me as a clinician, is what happens when I leave.
Yeah.
Because now you've all aired your dirty
Yes.
laundry amongst one another.
Yes.
And the party's over.
Right.
So I've been really careful about having a little bit more structure into how, you know, I'll tell people, share as much as you need to. This is my card. We can do some intimacy consulting after if you want to get. The amount of questions and calls that I get after these parties, it's amazing what people want to discover about themselves sexually. How our sexual issues have so much more to do with other baggage. How mostly women want to be liberated, how couples need to learn how to communicate. Sometimes starting in the bedroom with fun games helps us just play around to get to the real issue.
The real issues, right.
Which is, you know, so many, I mean, there's just so many things. Like, honey, I think, you know, I lost interest in you when you did, you know, when you had the kids. And you stopped paying attention to me. So it's just, the dynamics are amazing. I do anonymous Q&A. So as they come in, they write, and I'm like, tell me like the kinkiest, dirtiest question that you have. And I'm like, you know, opening these things, waiting to hear about some new fetish that I haven't heard of. And they're like, you know, I've never had an orgasm and I'm 50 years old. Or I'm afraid to touch myself because I was told that girls don't do that.
Right.
You know, so breaking down those barriers through pole parties, games. I have an erotic touch masseuse, and he comes and he does, you know, it's really cool because people are like, oh, you know, he's gonna strip, and you know, I'm like, yeah, I don't do that, but in the massages, he makes the women dictate how they want to be touched, and you know, it's just, you know, like a massage, and he'll use like candle wax and all kind of ice and fun stuff. But women have such a hard time saying, this is how I like to be touched. And getting them to say that, it's just so hard. They say, I've never been asked. And I'm like, and you have like, you know, 6 kids, and you've been married for this long, and you've never been asked how, you know? So we do that. Here's a social work piece. that was all social work, but his real social work piece. We go to domestic violence shelters and we do redefining sexuality.
Oh, love that.
So same concept, party, it's fun, it's exciting, we do the toys, we play around, but then we get down to the nitty-gritty, which is usually for these women, their sexuality and sensuality and ideas around sex in general have been defined by someone else, pretty much all their life. And they haven't, as they're transitioning out of these relationships, haven't decided how they want to be presented or how they want to be defined sexually and sensually. So the most powerful story that I heard, which was kind of, it was just like, okay, I have to do this and I have to do it all the time and I need to figure out ways to make more money so I can do more of these free type of events.
Right.
A woman telling me, I know when each of my children was born, the minute that they were born. And, so I'm like, okay, I kind of know when one of mine was born too, or conceived. She said her husband held a gun to her every single time she was forcefully raped by her husband for all 6 of her children. That was her sexual experience. So, we're sitting there and, I'm just like, okay, all right. She has, and we were in a shelter, so she's working with a therapist there. But how do you talk about that amongst the other women? And so we started talking about, well, what do you want those experiences to be like, and we started talking about those things, little things. Where do you like to be touched? So, where do you like to be touched? And we have them, touch, and they'll touch and like, so hard or soft, or do you like, gentle touch? Do you want to be touched like a feather? Do you want to be choked? These are questions that they've never been asked, never even given a lot of thought, because generally their experiences have been male or partner-led. So that is the other thing.
There's so many great things that came out of that. Number one, I just want to clearly say, for anyone maybe watching this who maybe initially thought, or even still thinks that, oh my goodness, how could you do that? That's not social work, or that's, too risque. Absolutely not. Because what's come out of it is so beautiful. And I think, number one, our sexuality is a part of who we are. It's a huge part of who we are. And so we can't get away from it. And fun, the component of fun where you started with the component of fun, is also so important, because it allows you to kind of explore, what do you like about this experience, or what would you like to do more of, or what did you not like, and it helps to start those creative juices going. And for you, it absolutely did that, and you said, I can do this better, and have a better result, and have people have better experiences. And then the other thing that I think is so important is that the issues that come out of what you do in that way are, there's issues, there's stories there that you don't have access to in a typical clinical setting or in any other social work setting. You don't have access to that stuff. You just won't know.
No, because we're not trained to ask those things.
Right.
It's uncomfortable.
Right.
No one. It's just not. People don't see a therapist about their sexual issues unless they're considered deviant or they're forced to.
Right.
Couples are, by the time they go to marriage therapy, the problem is probably loud and raging at that point. People don't want to admit to seeking therapy for sexual issues. They will say they went to a sex party, you know what I mean? Or, we tried pole dancing, or we tried toys, or, oh, that crazy girl Jasmine came.
Right.
So it's a really fun way. The other thing is that we normalize. It's okay to be sensual, sexual. We focus on, being safe, speaking up for yourself. And in a lot of our clinical settings, our traditional clinical settings, you're there because you're homeless, or you're there because you have some other need. No one says, are you having good sex? Right.
Exactly.
Are you having healthy sexual relationships? That's generally not a practice that's available. So I feel like, from a business standpoint, I opened up a market.
Absolutely.
And my credentials help me. They trust me. They trust me because I am a therapist. I am qualified to talk to you about your problems. I usually don't start off with that.
Right.
I start off as fun, and then they kind
Well,
of...
you build rapport.
You build rapport. You don't have to say like, hello, I'm
Right.
Jasmine at
Right.
LCSW.
Right.
You know, but they do want to know, like, the first question they ask is, how did you get into this?
Yeah.
You know, and I say, oh, you know, I'm a mom like you guys. I have a full-time job. I stay in front of a computer like this. And, but I want to have fun, and I also want to help people in a different way. People will pay more for those parties than they will for a copay to see their therapist. I'll tell you that much. And
That's good to know.
Yeah. And if that's the case, then I want to be on the receiving end.
I hear you. I hear you. That's all of that is just fantastic, phenomenal.
So you didn't blow up.
I'm gonna have to. Well, you didn't see. I did for a second, but yeah, I'm gonna sign up for one of those pretty soon. Although I don't know that I have any underlying issues. It's pretty good.
It's just fun.
Yeah, it's just fun. Yeah,
Sometimes it's just fun.
Yeah, for the fun of it as well. But I think that's so great. You have that access. I remember what I was going to ask you or say before too, in that first conversation about your fitness business, and I was talking about how you've been able to create a community. And it sounds like even in these parties as well, you're able to create a community, which is so important as well. If you're moving people, you know, we do a lot of group work, and you're doing group work.
Yes, that's what it is. It's a group session.
Yeah.
A lot of times I can just pose a question.
Yeah.
The anonymous questions are amazing. We should use it more in group. It's amazing what people will put out there if they don't know that they're going to be judged for it. And someone will ask a question, and a lot of times I'm like, oh, well, 10 of you want to know. And then they're like, really? Really? You know, and I'm like, you guys are friends. You know, these are things you should know about. So it's also helping them feel like amongst my peers, a lot of the times it's girlfriends, you know, college girlfriends or the wives club, that type of thing, or coworkers that get together. Then they feel like, okay, these women are more like me than I think, and they develop nice relationships out of them. The same thing, I use that community as well to kind of help foster some of the things that I do with the domestic violence. So we do things called panty parties with another organization. It's called Dirty Hearts in New York, where we have people come to parties and they got to pay with panties, so they got to bring panties. And
unused, I hope.
Yes, brand new Victoria's Secret deposit, beautiful unused panties.
Okay, good.
And with them, we take them to shelters or to rape.
I love that.
Rape centers where the women, you know, have to give them somewhere for
Oh, really?
Evidence. Right.
And they're given used underwear, they're given paper panties, and like after that experience, just please give me my own toothbrush and panties, please. So we do, you know, we kind of incorporate. So I have like this network of women all over the country. So we travel all over the country and do these different parties. That I can say, hey guys, I'm collecting artwork for the shelter that we're going to on August 8th. I'm collecting artwork because we want to take down the posters that say, like, if you've been battered, call 211. Like, we know everyone that's in here has been battered. Take the posters down. Let's put up some pretty artwork. And so these women from all over the country, they donate artwork. Or if we're having a panty party, they'll send panties. And so it's just a way of mobilizing people in as many different ways as possible.
I love that. And okay, unfortunately, I feel like we're going to have to wrap this up. Only because I think if people see how long this video is, they might not start watching it. So we're going to wrap it up. However, I always like to give the viewers some sort of homework or a challenge. So I would maybe ask you, if you were giving younger Jasmine advice or giving a social worker advice about, moving forward on his or her idea of a business or branching out or just even starting to think about this rich social work concept. It's just everything that you talk about sounds so rich and so full. And you're making money, which is awesome.
It's important.
It's important. If you weren't making money, you wouldn't be able to do all these things. So what challenge would we like to give our viewers?
That's a good one. The challenge is to step out of your box, find a mentor that's not a social worker. Okay?
Advice.
Yeah.
Great advice.
You have your social work friends. You're gonna and the people that you work with. You'll always have them to rely on for practice purposes, and to improve yourself. find someone that's in business, that's in marketing, that's in an area, whatever your strength is, that can help you take your skills further. That's my number one advice, is to get outside of your comfort zone. I'd love to talk biopsychosocials with you all day, but that's really not gonna further my business.
Right, exactly.
So that would be my challenge to you is, in the next week, try to connect
Absolutely.
with a new mentor in a totally different field and watch what you learn.
Absolutely. And I think that's great, Jasmine. Thank you so much. Do it. Come back to the blog. Let us know how that worked out for you. And one of the things I found is that people are a lot more generous and open and willing to share and teach you than you might think. Listen, everybody's scared.
Yeah.
All right? Everybody's scared. Even the person you're going to reach out to is scared about something or has been in your shoes. Don't let that get in the way of not only your success, and success meaning this challenge right now, but don't let it get in the way of your potential to possibly learn something that could help you help thousands and thousands and thousands of people. If Jasmine hadn't taken the steps that she took, all those people that she gets to connect with now, she wouldn't have had that opportunity, not in the same way.
Absolutely.
And you never know. You just never know how you impact people. So, I hate to end this, but I feel I must. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
And everyone, please check out the two websites.
bodyaltitudes.com
And
jetsettingjasmine.com.
yay! Until next time, Rich Social Workers, thank you for watching. Share this video, like it, send it to all your friends, and we'll see you back here on the blog next time. Bye! And didn't you just love that video? If you didn't, I certainly did. I got so much from Jasmine. I just really think it's phenomenal what she's doing. And now you have homework to do. Remember what you're going to do? You're going to find a mentor. Find someone who you could emulate, someone who's doing something that you want to do, or someone who has an expertise in an area that you need. And you're going to reach out to them this week. You only have 7 days and the clock is ticking. And we want to make sure that you come back to the blog, let us know how it goes, and let us know all the great progress you made. All right, social workers, that's it for today. Go out, do well, make lots and lots of money, and help lots and lots of people. See you next time. Bye.